I'm rereading, Out of the Crisis at the minute. One of Deming's 14 points is about removing fear. Mm-hmm. So, we can't have people being vulnerable in the environment. Experimentation, PDCA, is about vulnerability. It's about saying, I don't know. I think this might happen, but I'm going to try and find out. So we need people to feel enabled to be able to do that, to feel safe.
What is up, everybody? This is Paul Critchley, president of New England Lean Consulting, and your host for the New England Lean podcast, which, as of right now, we are launching season 3. So applause, a golf clap in the background. So thank you all for tuning in and listening. I appreciate everybody who's subscribed and downloads these episodes, shares them on social media. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you also to our guests who have all taught me something, and I hope taught you all things as well. Thank you for saying yes and for coming on, my little podcast here. And I'm very excited to be here for yet another season. I've got so many good things. Well, I think they're good things, but so many exciting things planned for this season. This is launching on Monday, the 13th. Look for a very special announcement from me this week. I'm going to be posting a video with something that about this podcast that I am pumped about, and I can't wait. I almost want to do it right now, but I can't. So stay tuned for that. Our guest to launch season 3 is none other than Paul Dunlop. Now, if you are not driving, if you are at a desk or someplace with a computer, stop what you're doing, go to LinkedIn, find him and follow him and connect with him. Paul is somebody I've never physically met before, but he and I, again, have interacted on social media a lot over the years. The guy, right out of the gate, the guy knows his stuff. I love the content he puts out there. Not only is it interesting, but it's powerful and it's fun. One of the things we talk about in this podcast is relatively recently, Paul started doing these kind of short little videos and posting them. They're amazing. I love them. I eat them up like bread and butter. And they're so much fun. You can just tell he loves what he does. And that's what I want to really try to accomplish through this podcast. Keep everybody who's a lean practitioner excited about it. There's so much garbage out on social media lately about what is right, what is real lean and fake lean, and you're not doing this right, and Nakao-san says this, and Ito-san says that, and you know what? I've gotten to the point where I'm going to ignore that stuff. And Paul and I talk about a lot of that in this episode because it's not worth it. I've told the story before about a client of ours that almost didn't start doing anything with lean because they saw a lot of that stuff online. That, to me, is the detriment, and that's why I try to stay positive, and that's why I like to bring guests on that are positive. Yes, you're going to stub your toe. Yes, you're going to fall down, right? Mistakes will be made, but the whole point is, do you have a culture that's built on trust and respect, that you're going to have folks around you that are going to help lift you back up? That's what we're going after. Paul Dunlop, he brings with him 20 years of management and manufacturing experience. He's an accredited Lego Serious Play facilitator, which I think is way cool. He also is an accredited DISC facilitator, which is kind of rare in the lean community, I think. But he's done all kinds of he's worked in a various number of industries. He talks a little bit about his history in this episode. But like I said, we talk about how do you do lean right, and spoiler, however you do it. If it's improving things, it's making people's lives better, people are happier, then for my money, you're doing it right. We also talk about vulnerability, self-awareness, all the good stuff that comes along with building a culture that supports lean and continuous improvement. So as always, I appreciate you. I hope you like it. I hope you get something from it. I'll talk to you, everybody, real soon. All right, welcome to the New England Lean podcast. And I am honored to welcome, yet another doppelganger of mine in the whole wide world, Paul Dunlop. Paul, how are you?
Yeah, I'm great, Paul. Great to be here. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm all right. We have to coordinate with all the lean, bald Paul guys so we can, with like our clothes and our glasses choices and stuff. So that way, when the world opens back up and we go to a conference, we can, we'll just walk around together and see what trouble we can get into.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a team sport. So it sort of had the same thing with Patrick Adams as well. So I think there can be a Paul thing, but there can also be the beard, glasses, and close cropped hair, I'll say.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I actually know Patrick pretty well. He's a good dude. But wrong name.
Wrong name.
I know, but
there's a P, but it's just not the same.
Yeah, it's close. So, but so I always like to start, Paul, with a little, so obviously you and I know each other. I see your LinkedIn posts, which are phenomenal. I can't say enough good things. I love them so much. I'll at the end, and I'll link to it, just show notes. So when people, if they aren't following you or connected to you, they can. But I'd like to start off, in case somebody doesn't know who you are and what you do, can you just kind of hum a few bars about your lean CI journey and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, I just make it up as I go along, Paul. That's what I say. So my journey, I've been in some form of manufacturing for 20 something years. My journey began on the shop floor in a food manufacturing business. I started out as a machine operator many years ago and really just fell into manufacturing. So it's just there's a lot of luck and not much design behind my journey. But the company I was working for at the time was a Japanese company that gave me an introduction, an entree to continuous improvement and lean. And I had a nice little sand pit essentially where I practiced and I learnt and I self-taught and, came across this cool philosophy and way of doing things and made lots and lots and lots of mistakes, but also, did some really cool stuff and benefited myself, my team, my process. And I guess then I went on to other roles. I've been in functional management and worked my way through to sort of production and operations management. Always been a passionate lean person internally. So being the functional manager, but also the change agent at the same time. Many of the businesses I worked in, I was the only lean thinker and the initial lean thinker, which was interesting. And 6 years ago, I jumped into the consulting and industry training space. So was very fortunate to, be able to follow my passion full time. The last 4.5 years, I've been running my own consulting business. I work across all different industry sectors, but predominantly in manufacturing. And so consult, again, predominantly small to medium businesses, some large, some smaller, and just taking this philosophy and implementing wherever I go. So that's me.
That's it in a nutshell. That's it. Yeah. Which I sort of kind of knew that. Obviously, I had to prepare before I had you on, and it was uncanny how similar your background and mine is, because it's very, except for the food part. But I used to be a plant manager of a medical device company. I got my start in automotive. And we were launching at a tier 1, and we were launching a program for Toyota. And that's where, I guess my aha moment went off, because, I didn't learn about lean. I'm a mechanical engineer, but I didn't learn anything about lean in school at undergrad. So, here I am in an automotive plant, and Toyota's coming in and they're talking they're talking Kanban and Kaizen. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And that's where, I just started learning all this stuff. And it's like you said, it's just like, wow, this is a lot different, because I feel like, especially here in the States, we kind of, we're all mass production, industrial revolution kind of stuff. And it's, we even to this day, I think a lot of us struggle in that industry just to change that thinking, because it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Paul. I see it every single day. I sort of think what year is this? Where are we? It's 2021, and we still have command and control. We still tell people what to do. We still have very cumbersome systems and structures and processes that simply don't work or make people's life very, very difficult. So it's interesting. We were sort of making so many advancements in so many ways in our technology and our society, but we still managed our organizations in the same way that we did 100 years ago. It's interesting.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about, and again, like I said, I see your post, but for those who don't, I know you're big into the people, respect for people development, right? So do you have any examples that you would or could share that, maybe you got somebody over to the lean side that was kind of hesitant, I'll call it, I won't say that they were a dissenter or resistant, but because to me, and I'll lead the witness a little, which as a podcast host, I'm not supposed to do, but we're friends, right? That to me is the best part of why we do what we do, especially being external consultants. So I'm just curious, because I really want to hear a story from something that you've done.
Oh, there's lots and lots and lots of different stories, and my memory's like a sieve, and I forget most of them, unfortunately. But even this week, so I'm working with a client in regional Victoria. They're a growing business. They've grown rapidly, like 100% year on year for the last 2 or 3 years. Sometimes with rapid growth, there's many challenges. It's kind of like stretching the elastic band, and the systems and the processes really struggle to keep up with the growth. And in this business, I'm doing so. I guess, I'm a lean guy, but a lot of my time, probably 50% of my time, is spent in the leadership coaching space, because ultimately I need leaders leading in the right way to enable everything else from a lean point of view. And probably a lot of the foundational work I do in clients, and not unlike yourself, is just 101 type stuff, business 101, getting structures right, doing leadership, all of those sort of things to then enable lean to blossom, to happen. But this client, I've sort of been working with them only, maybe this is my third visit to the client. First visit, we did some workshop around waste and flow. All of my workshops are very practical based. Guys have a lot of fun, but there's a lot of light bulb moments in that. I spent the next day with these team leaders just around leader standard work and starting to manage their time, because what do I always get is that people are just too busy. I'm too busy, Paul. This lean stuff's great, but I've got to get product out the door. I've got to deliver my service, whatever it is, and we'll get to that at some point. So I need to help people create some space in their days. But I was there this week, so third visit, and I had great conversations with 3 of those leaders. So one of them said, "Thank you so much, because I've grabbed this leader standard work, and I've now created time in my day." So over 2 months, he'd worked on that, and he's telling me about how he'd sort of started to let go of tasks, how he'd standardized the day for his team. So he's showing me that, evidence. He's showing me documents of stuff he's done. He's saying, well, I'm able to come in a bit later and go home on time, and I've got time now to think proactively, to work on my process and develop my people. And he's beaming, he's smiling. Another one, through the leadership conversation we had, I spoke to the general manager, and so this guy had, again, through my conversation with him, and again, my conversations are like therapy. I ask questions, they talk.
Yeah.
I'm not there to tell people what to do or how to do it. But he had the penny dropping moment, again, coming back to the respect for people side of things. He said, "I'm doing this all wrong. I'm telling my people, I'm speaking to my people in a really not the most effective way. I need to stop." So, he'd had that, and I think leadership is all around self-awareness. He had some reflection, and he'd stood up. He'd had a meeting with his team and stood up and basically said, "I'm sorry. I'm really sorry the way that I've been interacting with you and the way I've been doing things, and I'm going to change." And I spoke to his general manager yesterday, who at a town hall meeting a couple of weeks after that, had got up in front of most of the company and said the same thing. And I was like just blown away by that vulnerability. And yeah, that was huge. So there's a couple of examples there. And then yesterday, they're a poly tank manufacturer. They assemble firefighting equipment and agricultural equipment and fit pumps and hoses and all this sort of stuff. And they kit their jobs. And one of the other team leaders had developed, and I posted it yesterday, a kitting stillage, because traditionally they just dumped all the kit on a pallet, which are big kit for big units. And he'd said, no, this isn't good. We spend heaps and heaps of time looking for stuff gets broken, blah 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 blah. And he fabricated this stillage, and he's going, right, we're going to try this. I'm going to go and talk to the stores people. We'll test it out, see what they think. And again, big smile on his face. So that was 3 examples in one client. I don't always have that. I don't always have that quickly, but just sometimes people just get it and go. So that's the good stuff. That's why I do what I do.
So let me ask you, those are awesome, by the way. And I'm really impressed with the second manager that you said was so vulnerable to get up and say, I'm sorry, because I mean, anybody who's listening to this podcast, can probably relate that, many of us have had bosses that never in a million years would ever do something like that. I actually had a boss myself as CEO. She told me once, never, ever apologize for anything because it's a weakness. It shows weakness. And it didn't resonate then. And now, and this is 16, 17 years ago, now I can look back and realize how wrong she was. But back then I was like, I'm like, well, she's pretty successful and, she's obvious, she's my boss. So maybe I ought to listen. But now it's like, holy cow, was that like the worst advice ever? So let me ask you, so that's all at one client. Did those how did you was it a function of your efforts to get those managers to those places? Or what role did their management play?
Good question. I would say rarely is it me who they get themselves to those places. I think people have got to, deep down want to change, or they know perhaps something isn't right in their world. They just need someone to shine the light on those things and to expose them, and perhaps to, you gave the example of that boss. Sometimes they just need someone else saying, no, there's a different way of doing things and a better way of doing things. And this is what it looks like, or what it can look like. It's not an easy journey to lean in, to be uncomfortable. And, talk a lot about vulnerability. Well, I'm a big fan of Brené Brown. I love the work that she does around that. So, I'm always saying, well, any change journey, whether it's the change of the self, and particularly in a lean transformation, it's leaders. My hard and difficult conversations happen with them. They have to look inward. They have to, again, go through that change process. It's tough. It's uncomfortable. It's awkward. It's all of those sort of things. So yes, it's having those sort of conversations in that environment. They've got funnily enough, an ex-Toyota operations manager. So there's fertile ground there. So that's definitely enables, rapid forward movement. It's tough, again, being the internal voice for change, because that gets old quickly. And so I think the stimulus has just been another voice, someone coming in again, because I've got that operational background, my heart's still on the shop floor. I can speak the language. I can, talk at their level. And I mean that with all due respect. You meet people where they're at. So that's where we've had some success there. That's not always the case. Sometimes that journey, well, it never clicks, or it's 6 months of difficult conversations, hard conversations, to get to that point. And then we can move forward. So yeah, that's it's always a challenge.
And I was going to ask if it was, because when you said vulnerability, it pinged my radar. because I was wondering if that was a Brene Brown thing or it just happened to be in your vernacular.
Yeah.
We had Sabrina Moon on the show.
Yep.
And so, yeah, she's a personal friend of mine too. And so she had come on, she taught me, and I haven't studied Brene Brown much, but I knew kind of what what she was going after. But she schooled us all up on that. And it is. And since then I've made it a point to go read and learn more. And it's interesting because it's not necessarily part of the whole lean, movement or whatever. But now that I'm looking at that, it's like, wow, this really kind of is part of it because, you can't, right? It goes along with the command and control stuff where it's like, you never say sorry. I'm the boss. You're the subordinate. Why is it every time I hire a pair of hands, it comes with a brain attached, right? All that stuff. And I don't know if you can be successful with lean or continuous improvement if you don't have some amount of self-awareness and vulnerability in you.
No, it's impossible, I would say. So, and it's interesting you say that because I probably don't read many lean books these days, but I'll read books like that I actually think are about lean. So I'd say, Brene Brown or Simon Sinek or these sort of people, they're leaner books than a lot of lean books because they talk around the psychology, they talk around leadership, they talk about the cultural traits that then enable continuous improvement to happen because we have to have environments where there's no fear. I'm rereading, Out of the Crisis at the minute. One of Deming's 14 points is about removing fear. Mm-hmm. So, we can't have people being vulnerable in the environment. Experimentation, PDCA, is about vulnerability. It's about saying, I don't know. I think this might happen, but I'm going to try and find out. So we need people to feel enabled to be able to do that, to feel safe, to make mistakes. That's okay. So we can't have continuous improvement without vulnerability. So it's so fundamentally important. And that's why we have to transition away from those old command and control structures and styles of management because of that.
Yeah. And that's, and like, I like what you said too, because I posted a video, it was maybe a couple months ago now, because I found anytime somebody posts something on Zoom and they have a background with their bookcase, I'd always zoom in. I'm like, what are they reading? I want to see what's on there. So I posted a video of my bookcase, which is right behind me. And it's certainly not all the books that I have. But it's all the room I have in this space for that book, right? And the whole deal. But to your point, it's like, yeah, I've got a ton of lean books in here, but I'm more interested, and maybe it's our age. I think you and I are about the same age. So I don't know if it's just that. It's like, yeah, okay, I get that part, but I wanted, Brene Brown or Simon said, or whomever. I just listened to the audiobook Blue Ocean, which is older. A lot of people had already read it. And I'm like, but I'm listening to that as I'm driving to clients. And I'm like, I can see the same thread, but the folks that wrote that book, no idea what continuous improvement is all about. But you can see the tendrils kind of all come together. Yeah.
And I just read Jocko Willink's Extreme Ownership recently. And that's an absolute tome of lean leadership. It's absolutely 100% all about lean. It's amazing. It's probably one of the best leadership books I've read. Just incredible. But yeah, unfortunately, we're still most of the lean community, I think, is just playing catch up around this stuff. We know this stuff's going on, but we're not really looking under the hood and understanding it. So there's a lot of psychology and neuroscience and all that sort of stuff through what we're doing day to day. And, probably some of it's coming through, Toyota Carter, and we're starting to get more of an understanding there, but we still need a much deeper understanding to acknowledge what is going on, because it's fundamental. Again, yes, we talk it's about people, but there's some really fundamental stuff that's happening that we need to look at. And I think a lot of those books that perhaps, or a lot of the thinking that sits outside of the traditional lean world is really important and very complementary to success.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, Paul, the other thing I kind of, as I was getting ready, I definitely wanted to chat with you about, because I alluded to you a little bit in the intro, is the posts that you put up on LinkedIn. I think are I can't, I mean, I'm fanboying all over you, but it's so good. It makes me mad, because I'm like, a lot of our clients are in aerospace, so I can't, videotape anything. I can't even tell, who we're working with sometimes. So I just wanted to pick your brain a little bit of all, and you post. So for those who, again, don't follow her, you post a lot of videos, which
Yeah.
I think are so great because, other folks, and I'll pick on myself, I'll post something like about TWI and I'll kind of talk job relations and JI, but video is so much better. So is that something that you made a conscious decision about? Was it somebody had mentioned it to you? And like, how did you just come up with that idea?
A couple of things. I sort of noticed other people doing it. At the time, I was, needing to probably grow and market my business, and I was sort of listening to, Gary Vaynerchuk, and you can have your opinion on him, but I think he's pretty authentic. He practices what he preaches, and a lot of his work was, you just got to keep putting yourself out there. Doesn't matter, how rough it is at times. Just keep doing it. Just be disciplined around that, and that really sort of ticks my boxes too. Being a lean guy, lean is all about discipline. It's all about repetition. It's all about practice. So there was that side of it. The other part, and talking about vulnerability, was making myself uncomfortable, putting myself in that space. So I'm very introverted at heart, and I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it every day. Try and do it every day, and just start. And so that was the origin of that. I guess as time has gone on, it's just really documenting the journey as much as anything. So typically my posts will be, the video posts anyway, will just be a reflection of what's happened through the day. So yeah, if I'm on a factory floor, or perhaps I've heard something in a podcast or read a line in a book that's resonated with me, and then I'll just riff on that. And I'll tend to do it in, generally it's one take. I'll fluff words, I'll miss stuff out, don't care, just put it out there and go. And it's interesting. I think from the start, I thought, it's, again, vulnerability, it's exposure to the rest of the community, and you get some interesting feedback when you do that, but that's all good. But you know what I'm saying. So
yep.
But overwhelmingly, it's been so positive. I've learned a lot. I've met so many people around the world that I've now, connected with, and have catch-ups over Zoom, and it's just been a really, really good thing. It's been good for me. It's been good for my business, and again, I've learned a lot, and I've met a lot of amazing people.
Well, that was kind of why, and that's, well, for one, I am legitimately, genuinely impressed. So I did want you to know that. That's the other reason I brought that up, was because I wanted to tie it back to the vulnerability piece. So I had posted something a while ago about the fact that in social media in general, even in our lean community, it's, and you and I were chatting a little bit before we hopped on about how politicized, and a lot of things get, even when they're not even political in nature. I wanted to tie it back to the vulnerability piece because, I can write a post, or anybody can write a post, and it's just words. And then you get, like you said, you get some people on one side, some people on the other. I wrote a blog post 3 years ago, why 0% of lean transformations fail. And I mean, you want to talk about touching a nerve. There's some people lost their minds. I got nasty direct messages, like, I'll PG rate it, but they're like, who do you think you are? You don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, I'm just giving you an alternative. And yes, I will admit I use some hyperbole in the title to grab your attention, but read the art, read what I wrote.
Yeah.
And so when you do videos and it's you in them, that's like a whole nother level of vulnerability. So I'm curious to know, and that's why I kind of was asking, was that also part of your own personal lean journey? Because you and I do the same thing. We're external consultants. Is that part of how you help your own PDCA cycle, being vulnerable, taking a chance? And do you ever use that with clients to say, hey, look at what I did, and that wasn't easy. And, if I can do that, you can do this. Do you ever that corollary?
Yeah. So I've never used it as an example. I've never actually thought of using it as an example, but I should. Thank you. That's given me a good one. And so, look, I think I try to come at things with a lot of humility. I will never call myself an expert. I'm never going to be an expert. I'm always going to be a learner. And that's good. That's how I want it to be. Even yesterday, I'm just saying, guys, I'm the idiot in the room. I don't know anything. You know everything. I'm just going to ask some dumb questions and ask you what's up, and we're going to move ahead. So I think that's always the way I try and approach things. Yes, I think there was a bit of fear there from me going, oh my God, I'm going to expose myself in front of my peer community, and they're going to think, you don't know what you're talking about. You're an idiot. And I think we all go through that. But again, ultimately, as I've engaged, I've been open enough to be able to take the feedback and learn, because that's important. I get the commentary. No, of course I do. There's outliers out there. There's people who want to be nasty and tell you how much they know and how much you don't, and that's fine. You get that in any walk of life, any community. And overall, I think we all need to, there's way more common ground than not. And we all need to lean into that space. And I've seen that. We're all coming at this from the same place. We all want the same results, and we should be able to, maturely have a battle of ideas on an intellectual level. That's fine and no problem. It's what it gets emotional and personal that things start to change. That contest of ideas type thing. And again, lean is very subjective, so it just depends where you've come from, what you've learned, how you've done things. Everyone's going to have their own different flavor of it, and that's fine. It doesn't and never has been about following a prescribed way of doing things. Mm-hmm. I mean, even for me, and I'm sure the same for you as a consultant. Yes, I know where that end result is. I know what I'm gunning for. How I get there it's very different every single time. Mm-hmm. And there's PDCA and all of that, because I know that, that didn't work. Okay, I'm going to go again and move, and go again and move. And, that's just what you do every day. But yeah, just coming back to it, I think it's been good for me, been good for my personal growth, simply to sort of tick the boxes in, because trust me, most 80% of the people that I come across say, yeah, that I've been thinking that, or I've been doing that. I try and keep things very, very simple, because lean is simple. I'm a simple guy, and that's how it needs to be. So that's where I come from. I guess when I'm posting or when I'm talking, I'm just talking to a small business owner. I'm talking to a struggling manager in a business who needs some help, who needs some support, who needs to know they're not alone, and that other people are in this fight, in this chaos. And I genuinely try to give some value. So if you can pick something out of what I've said, and I joke with prospective clients, I say you could watch 2 years worth of video and you have it all for free. There it is. You're not going to get anything new from me. That's it. That's all I've got. But if they can get some value out of that, and they can go away and think about something differently or apply it, then I'm happy with that. So there's a few reasons why I do it, but ultimately it's to give value and to make myself uncomfortable.
And I love them too, because like you said, you do them in one take, you flub up words sometimes, and that's what I am a firm believer. The longer I've done this, and jump in if you disagree, but lean gets messy. It's like, and to your point, it's like, there's no, like we're talking about books. I got probably 100 books behind me, and none of them are textbook. So, it's to your point, every client's going to be a little bit different. Some of them are going to love Six Sigma. Others are going to be like, don't even, if the letters SPC come out of your mouth, I am kicking you out. So it's like everybody's appetite's a little bit different. And that's what always, it irks me when people get all up in arms. Well, it's not PDCA, it's PDSA. And you're not, anybody that says, quote, you're not doing it right is to me like I'm done talking to you because you don't own lean. Neither do I. So who are you to tell me or anybody, we had, and the reason this came up kind of recently is we have a client who we almost didn't get, and they almost didn't do lean at all. They're a job shop. And they said, the GM, he said, he goes, I've read some lean books, and he goes, it always felt like it was made for low mix, high volume. If we were pumping out the same thing every single day, I really, really questioned it. And he goes, and this is what got it for me. He goes, I look online on LinkedIn and you see what I call the Instagram version, right? It's perfection.
Yeah.
And he's like, I am so far away from that. I can't even see it. And that's why I love, like, again, your posts and your videos, because you're like, listen, this is what it looks like. And that's it. It's like, we're not done, but we made a good progress, and you can do stuff. You can do it. And that's what I think, and I'll tie it back to the lean transformation failure thing. I believe there are so many more people who are just trying and they're just not done yet. It's like, just keep, and I'm such a proponent of anybody that carries the flag of just keep going, just keep trying stuff.
Yeah.
If it works, keep doing it. If it didn't work, don't do it again, and just keep going. It's okay. Right. It's okay. You don't have to have a project plan, a Gantt chart that lasts 3 years to get this whole thing perfect. Just go out on the shop floor and, duct tape and cardboard, man. Just give it a shot.
Yeah, that's and I mean, that's how I spent a lot of my life in factories: duct tape, cardboard, cable ties, the whole bit. But yeah, you're right. I'm just interested in better. I don't care about perfect. It's never going to be perfect. The whole essence of PDCA is just to do stuff. Obviously we understand our current state. We put a plan in place and we execute, we experiment. Most of the stuff probably won't work the way we think, but that's okay. Go again, and biting it off. And I always talk to my clients about, we spend, and we can do that. And you talk about the vision of lean perfection. It's kind of standing at the foot of the mountain, looking at the top, and it's overwhelming. It's too hard. How like we're here. We're just struggling to get the job done. Never mind do this stuff. And so there's no point. And through my engagement with clients, I have to talk about Toyota. I have to reference Toyota. There's no getting away from that. But I'm not interested in that. I'm interested, again, from that Carter point of view. I'm interested in the way that they think. I'm not interested in what they're doing, because no one else is going to touch that. And let's be honest, So, but how can we work together to make you a better version of you tomorrow? That's all I care about. And then we'll start to again, I like that the Paul Akers approach of just fix what bugs you and all the rest of it. That is a great way to start. And then we can start to build the structure around that. Then we can start to get more strategically focused, all of those sort of things. But just having that mindset, that's it's scratching the surface, let's be honest, but it gets momentum building, it gets success happening. And I think that's a really important step. And if you never move past that, well, so what? You're working on stuff every single day and you're getting better. And that comes back to your point, is that, maybe every lean implementation in some way is a success. You've at least touched somebody. You've changed something.
Right. I don't know. That's my take, but I'd rather be on that side and be positive and encouraging versus, trying to paint a picture of perfection and it's always just out of reach for folks. Cause I don't find that motivating. And
Yeah, and it's bullshit, and it puts people off.
Yeah, basically.
Ultimately, I'm a torchbearer and an advocate for a philosophy and a way of doing things. And I want to pay it respect, and I want to do it in the right way. But I also want to be inclusive, and I want to make it accessible for more people, because, like you, it's changed my life. It's changed my working life. It's changed my life in general. It's a beautiful, wonderful thing, and I want more people to enjoy the benefits of that. Why would I want to exclude or put people off, or throw shit at other practitioners? It's not what this is about.
Right.
And again, come back to respect for people. You have people in the community that aren't respecting other people in the community. Why?
I know that to me too. I'll text other lean, practitioners. And I'm like, what is this dude's problem? Like, what? This is against everything we're all as a community we're supposed to stand for. But
yeah.
All right, Paul, I do always like to take a little bit of a break and do a little rapid fire round that I affectionately refer to as the wicked fun part.
Yep.
Are you up for this?
I think so. Let's go.
All right. I promise it's not scary. What's your favorite song and why?
Now, I just want to preface all of this. There might be two things with these questions.
Okay, that's fine.
Me being me. All right. So it's songs. So I'm a big music fan. So I have a very diverse range of music that I listen to. So I'm going to say the best song. So I think the best song of all time is Rock Lobster by the B-52s, because it's just got everything. Probably my favorite song is Sweatpants by Childish Gambino. I love Donald Glover.
All right.
That's
a decent pick. I can't argue with you. What was the last gift you gave someone?
Flowers for my wife.
Oh, dude, come on. See, now my wife's going to hear this and she's going to say, why don't you buy me flowers?
There was no other answer.
Touche, good sir. Tell me something about your last, I'll call it real job, full-time job, other than money, that would have inspired you to keep working there.
A good boss.
Usually what it comes down to.
Yep.
Let's see, a couple more. What did you want to be when you were little?
I wanted to be a vet.
Oh, nice.
I'm a big animal lover. So, yes, wanted to be a veterinarian.
Nice. All right. What's one thing nobody knows about you?
Ooh, I'm a lover and collector of traditional Japanese tattoos.
No kidding.
No kidding.
That's cool.
Yep.
And I noticed, are you sleeved?
Yep.
Nice. Excellent. I got to do some catching up to you. Last one. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I'd like to hear God say, "You've lived a good life, Paul."
That's
it.
Me too. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
All right, we have a few minutes left. Is there anything, any parting words of wisdom you wanted to share with the listenership?
Given it's a bunch of lean people, predominantly, I'd expect.
Probably.
Yeah, my parting views would be, again, probably riffing on what we've talked about, but just do it. Don't overthink things. Keep things very simple. Keep them visual, and listen to people. So if you're a leader in an organization at any level, just be quiet, ask questions, and listen, and you will find that amazing things start to happen from that. We from a lean point of view, and I think, again, coming back to that simplicity, you can read all of the books, you can really overthink and overcomplicate what this is actually all about. It's all about people. It's all about hearts and minds, and enabling the biggest asset that we have in any organization, which is our people. That's what costs us the most amount of money, all of those sort of things. And we don't unlock that potential. And it's so fundamentally important that we engage people, we respect them, we meet them where they're at, and we ultimately just try and support them to make their working lives better. That's
what it is. And it's funny that you said that. And I swear to anybody listening or watching, we did not set this up. But that's in almost every workshop I teach, regardless of what it is, 5S, 7 ways, employee engagement. That's, as I go through the benefits of lean in big green letters, I say life gets better.
Yeah.
And that's because ultimately, I think you're right. That's what it's really all about. It's like, yeah, we're making product or, the service, and that's going faster, or we're making more money, and that's cool. But I get to go home at 4:00 instead of 7, and I get that time with my family, or I get to do something with my life that I really, really love.
Yes. So like you said, then the financial benefits and the ROI and all of the other stuff, that is an outcome. If we get all the other stuff right, we tap into our people and engage our people, we improve our process, then all of that happens. So again, I think far too often in the business world, we chase the number rather than improve the process. And, as we know, the focus drives the behavior. And so don't get lost in that. The outcomes will happen. Focus on the process and the people.
Nice. All right. Well, with that, Paul, I shall let you go so you can enjoy the rest of your Saturday as we're recording this. So you're a day ahead. So thanks again
for
taking.
You, Paul. No, I appreciate you having me on. That's been a blast. So thank you.
Yeah, man. And I'm so glad we get to hang out, because I know we interact on LinkedIn, but it's just not the same, And I'm hopefully someday when, like I said, when the globe opens back up, we can find a conference somewhere and
start our Paul gang.
Exactly.
Good. Yeah.
All right. I'll get working on the bylaws right now. All right, Paul, I'll let you go.
All right. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you. Take it easy.
Take care. See ya. Bye. Bye.
Hey, everybody. It's Paul. Before I let you go, I just wanted to say thanks again for listening. You really made doing this podcast a very rewarding experience for me. I get a lot of messages from listeners. Everyone has something nice to say, which I very much appreciate. Of course, I'm always open to feedback on ways we can make it better. I mean, that's Kaizen after all. And by no stretch do I claim to have got this all figured out. So if there's things that I could do better, please, by all means, feel free to reach out and let me know. And likewise, if there's somebody that you think would be a great guest, also let me know. There's a chance I don't know who those folks are. So if somebody that you can help put us in touch with, somebody you want to learn more about, certainly let me know and I'll reach out to those folks. But I hope you find the podcast fun and entertaining, educational, and maybe even a little inspirational, I hope. That's really what I'm going after with this whole thing. So thanks again. And one small ask, if you don't mind, if you listen, whatever your preferred platform is, if you could just, subscribe, give us 5 stars on Apple or whatever, again, whatever platform you listen to, it helps. The algorithms like it. So if you could do that for me, I would really appreciate it. And we'll talk to you real soon. Thanks, everybody.